Hey there, Stampin' friends. Welcome to Movie Monday with Jody Breckbill, Stampin' Queen. Here is today's card. I'm going to be sharing a series of videos with you guys focusing on the WOW class that I just had. WOW Wednesday is always the last Wednesday of every month, and we kind of just take things up a little bit. Doesn't mean they're terribly difficult. You just need to have a little bit of knowledge for stamping and you can totally get these cards done. So this is the card that we created. It's called a shutter card, and when you open it, it's got like a camera shutter that opens to show your message. A little bit of an interactive card. This is, of course, a case from my favorite stamper, Dawn Griffith, and totally copied from her, but I want to do a quick video for you guys to show you how to create it. So the stamp set that we used is called Super Duper, and I think I earned this one for free somewhere along the way and haven't used it, so we got this one out and are going to play a little bit with that. So of course I'm going to go along here, and when I edit, you're definitely going to have measurements in the captions, so you'll be able to create this at home. But we're going to use Tranquil Tide, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, and I want to score at 2 1/8 on each end. So I'm going to put 2 scores here. Just flip it around and do another score. And then there's going to be 2 panels here. These are what actually creates your shutter. And while I have the score tool out, I'm going to go ahead and do those. These are 4 by 3.5. So you want your 4-inch side here at the top, and you're going to do a score right at 1/2 inch on both panels. So let me get this sucker out of the way because it takes up way too much room. Okay, it's kind of precariously placed there, but that's cool. Okay, so now what'll happen when you did those two folds or 2 score lines, your cardstock is just going to fold and meet right in the center. Okay, so I'm going to work with these 2 pieces right now and show you a little trick, because we need to notch them so they look like a banner. And you know, I'm a little anal when it comes to this kind of stuff, so I want to have it perfect. So I'm going to use my grid paper, and I want to have the scored side here in this corner, and I'm going to lay it right here. So there's my 4-inch and there's my 3.5. So the halfway point is 2 on this side, and it's 1 3/4 on this side. So if I take my ruler and I lay it right at the 1 3/4 and use this whole line here that goes across, that'll make sure that I'm nice and straight. I'm going to put a little pencil mark at 2 inches. Then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm just going to create an X, well, I guess a line. I don't want to X the whole entire thing. I just want to make a pencil mark from the 2-inch down to that corner. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I have that corner, and I just want to make it meet my 2-inch line, or my 2-inch mark. And then we hand cut that little triangle out. So I really only need to do that one time, because now I have a template and I can just lay that on here and just trace it so they'll be the same. And then we're going to cut that side out as well. It doesn't seem to want to come out. Come on there. You're hanging by a thread. There we go. All right, so we're done with those. We don't need those. keep moving stuff out of the way here. Okay, so that's where that grid paper is amazing. That's wonderful to have. Okay, so now I took a piece of Whisper White panel, and then I have a 1/8 inch smaller DSP, the Fresh Florals, I think it's called, and I'm going to do the same thing. Where'd my adhesive go? There we go. With a smaller panel, and again, I'll give you the dimensions, but we're just going to attach those two together, and it is a very, very thin border. It's only 1/8. So we have two of those. Two go on the front and one goes in the center. All right, so on this panel, I did go ahead and I used one of our layering circles and I die cut that hole through there. Then I took a piece of Dazzling Diamonds and used a scallop and the circle that fits inside it. Die cut those together and you'll get a little scallop border. So I did do those ahead of time. I'm just going to do some mono adhesive, some snail all around that edge. And it's just made to fit right over top of that hole, that circle that you just created. Easy peasy, right? So far, so good. Everybody's with me. Okay, so make sure that's good and attached. Then, I see what I do not have in my bucket here. We need some dimensionals, and you're going to put 4. 1 in each corner, but don't peel your sticker off just yet. Okay. So we're going to take 2 off at the bottom, and that's going to go fairly centered in the middle of your card. So you don't have to be perfect, you just kind of have to eyeball it, just the bottom. Okay, you want this one to not be attached. Well, I got some adhesive on here on my card sticking. Okay, now these two guys come in, and we're going to use some tear and tape with these. Make sure you fold those over. I've got my tear and tape here. Fast fuse would work. Tear and tape, sticky strip, just something a little stronger than your snail adhesive, because you don't want it coming apart, and sometimes that's just not quite strong enough. Okay, peel one of these guys off, and we're going to slide it underneath of your card, and so this edge of that panel needs to meet the fold of the front, and then your little point here of your banner kind of should be about in the center of your circle, and then you just are going to close that. Now let me go backwards a second, because what I was finding is that I was having some trouble with these closing. The little points were just a smidge too long, so you can just nip those. I'm going to nip these two. Just a little nip. It will not matter because it's going to be hidden, but it seems to make my card close a little bit better. Okay, make sure that is good and attached. Then we're going to peel this side off and do the same thing. Now when you slide this one in, it needs to either go over top of this one or underneath. You don't want to have one on top and one on the bottom. So I like to slide it underneath, and again, we've got our edges meeting. Their little fold is going to meet the edge of our banner, and I kind of want these two to be even. So this little point here should kind of be across from that little point there. Go ahead and close it, say your little prayer, and see if it's going to open. Yes, yes. Okay, gosh, I love when that happens. All right, so let's go ahead and put our front panels on. It's really starting to come along now, folks. Okay, The little front panels are on here. Everything is moving. Oh, don't stick yet. I need to shift you over. Okay, so there's our front panel. Now I took a piece of Whisper White and I used that scallop again, and I did a white piece. I'm gonna pull in my Tranquil Tide ink, and whoops, here's my Celebrate. You're going to stamp it fairly centered. It's okay if it's not exact. And then a couple little sparkles, you know, because you need a little sparkle for your birthday. Now you might not see all those, and that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to set that one there. Then I have another piece of Whisper White, and we're going to stamp that with the big happy birthday to you. What I have found with these new ink pads, mine are coming to me super juicy, especially the darker colors, so feel free to stamp and like set them aside and just let them have a little bit of time to dry. It's always good to have juicy ink pads. That's fine, we like that. Okay, so now we're going to take this piece, snail on the back, don't be afraid to use a good bit, and we're going to open our card and slide this down through, and you're going to want to kind of center it as best you can through that hole you just created. Close your whole card, make sure it's really stuck down there. How awesome is that? All right, so now your final step is to peel those. Oh my gosh, my hands are huge. What is happening? Sorry, you guys. It's like King Kong hands coming in there. I'm not sure if your view is the same as mine. Okay, so then that just is going to get closed and the pop dots will stick. Got a little bit hanging off there. I'm not sure if I'll trim that or not. Okay, so that's how it works. Happy birthday comes back, and I have 2 strips of glitter, 2 strips of Tranquil Tide, and because glitter doesn't really like much adhesive, I'm going to use our Fast Fuse. So I'm just going to do a strip of Fast Fuse across that, and I'm going to attach those 2 pieces, the glimmer and the Tranquil Tide, together. You want to do that on both strips. And you can make it as wide or as small as you want, depends how much glitter you want to see. Whoops, mine keeps shifting. Okay, then you can use Fast Fuse, you can use mono. This isn't going to be a problem because the cardstock doesn't mind sticking. It's just that glimmer paper, it just does not like to have adhesive adhered to it. You do want to be careful at this point that you do not get cardstock or adhesive outside of here. Okay, because we're going to attach this to our card front, and we can't attach the whole thing down. We're only going to attach one side. So it is important to watch how much, that's uneven. There we go. How much adhesive is sticking out. So be very careful about that, and ask me how I know, because I messed up my very first card. I got adhesive where I didn't want it. All right, these are a little long, so I'm just going to trim them down. They should be even. All right, I have a pair of really gummy scissors. They have so much adhesive on them that they just are having trouble cutting. Okay, so now we're going to lay this on top and see where I'm saying you only want adhesive on that left side. Otherwise your card won't open. So again, I'm going to use fast fuse just to make sure that it does stick. And attach that in the center of my card. There we are. How cool is that? Don't you love it? Okay, so then just to finalize, a couple little rhinestones there in the corner if you want to bling it up a little bit more, but that's all there is to it. So that is your shutter card. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week for Movie Monday.